Hey, welcome back, everybody. Of course, you know me. This is Dr. Keith McNally. This is Coach's Corner. I'm here with Noah Moss, and she is a money management expert. And so we're going to get more into that because that's why I brought her on to the. So she was on the Question Guy podcast, and we talked all about the importance of money management, saving and investing, all of that kind of cool stuff. But I brought her back because I got a 13-year-old daughter, and I need to start having conversations with her, real conversations about money, how to save it, how to spend it wisely, how to make sure that we're moving her because she just finished seventh grade. And so we're going to go through eighth grade and high school. And I'm going to prep her as the best I possibly can so that when she becomes an adult, goes into college or does whatever she needs to do for her, that she actually has the wisdom, and I want to use that word, I like that word, the wisdom to use money wisely. Noah, help me out, please. How do I start having those conversations with my daughter to kind of get her moving in the right direction?
Yeah, I think so. I think the first way to just kind of ease her into it is just to talk about it. I think a lot of times in families, and I don't know if this is true with you or not, Keith, but a lot of times parents will have the money conversations separate from the children because they're maybe trying to protect them from it. Maybe they're nervous about it, maybe even a little bit of shame, whatever the case may be. But if you can just bring the money conversation forward, just around, okay, what does paying bills every month actually look like?
Hmm.
What does um like why are you not choosing to go out to eat on a random Tuesday versus going out on a Friday? Or why don't you eat out every night? Or whatever, however you spend your money, why do you spend it the way you spend it? And then if you are saving, why do you save it the way you save it? From there, I also think a great way to get young people interested in starting to save and invest is showing them what it can do for them. So, like a good example would be to just buy a small amount of some mutual funds in their name, or have them work for an allowance and then take a portion of their allowance and say, hey, we're going to pay taxes in quotation marks on this money, but you can actually invest it for them and show them what growth looks like, but also show them there is, you know, um, risk to the stock market. Sometimes it goes up, sometimes it goes down, but by showing them, hey, you do have some investments now, and over time how it can grow can make saving and investing really exciting for young people, instead of just telling them to do it, kind of showing them, or even just showing them with your own investments if you have any.
So is there like a magic, I'm using that word loosely, like a strategy to say, if we do something now, because she's all about right now. Like, what's going to happen this summer? What am I doing
Yeah.
today? What am I doing tomorrow? You know,
Yeah.
the furthest thing she's planning out is a July 4th celebration. And so we haven't even looked past July. And so what I want to do is help her understand that things that she does today or now in the present tense really will impact her, affect her through high school into college, you know. So I want her to be able to think about that, maybe not so much in depth, but know that if she does the right things today in today's space, it will benefit her in the long run. So how do I get those conversations started?
Yeah, I mean, honestly, what I would consider doing is just by having like more or less a family meeting about it, and just saying, again, you can use your own savings investing as an example,
Mm.
or you could just say, hey, we're going to start this account for you. And it can be mutual funds or index funds or a CD or even a high yield savings account, and tell them, go ahead.
Well, I was going to ask, it wouldn't can they be like put in her name, but like as the adult parent, like don't they have to, how would that work? Can both
Yeah.
names be
So
on?
what I would recommend is almost you put it in your name as a parent, because then if she's applying for FAFSA in the future, it won't affect that.
Okay.
And then also you do have control over it, which as a parent, you may want the control over it, at least in the beginning. And then you can always transfer it into her name in the future. I
Okay.
would transfer it to her name, after she's done applying for college in FAFSA, because anything in her name counts against it, unfortunately. Um,
And that's federal applications for college. Yes.
Correct. Sorry.
Okay.
Yes, that's financial aid through the government for
Okay.
college. Which if she decides not to go that route, that's perfectly fine, and then you don't have to worry about it. But a lot of parents that I know just choose to open the account in the parent's name, but no, it's for the purpose of their child. Um, and honestly, the child may not even know the difference, and just they'll see your name at the top, but it's their money in their brain as long as you tell them that.
Are there
Um,
things that have different rates of return or higher
mhm.
interest yields, like certificates of deposit or other types of investments?
Yeah, so it all depends on where you get invested. So mutual funds and index funds have the potential for highest returns, but you're also taking on a lot more risk when you're in those types of funds because it is invested in the stock market. And you can be in something that's really aggressive, where it's all going to be stocks and could be aggressive stocks at that. You could be in something more balanced where you have some stocks and some bonds, or you could just have all bonds as well. And so that just kind of depends on what you're looking for. And you can always, there's like online quizzes you can take, or you can even just talk to somebody like me, like a financial advisor, to decide what you're looking for. There's also certificates of deposit, which are great. The rates of return right now are relatively high. Um, and those, your money is tied up for a specific period of time, depending on how long the CD you buy is for. But you can get good rates of return there. And then there's also high yield savings accounts, which are the safest. And the CDs are pretty safe too, but the high yields are very safe as well. Um, and those are great because you can access your money whenever, but they are getting growth along the way.
So, like I said before, she's in middle school. She's going to go on the high school. Are there things that high school students specifically, maybe high school going into college, should be thinking about in terms of like a percentage of, say I put her on, like right now, an allowance per week and say whatever that, heck, I'll just throw out $20. I'm just gonna be cheap on it. So
Yeah.
she gets, well, I have 20, maybe $5 a week. I don't know, $20 a week a lot. Anyway, you got the
Yeah,
idea. So she's getting
I
some
get it.
monies per week and she's earning it. She's working for that money. So cleaning her room, helping with dinner, whatever that is. Um, young kids want to spend.
Yeah.
But is there a way to say, okay, well, we're going to do 50-50, like we're going to put 50 into the bank or do this, and then, 50% goes, you could spend. Are there ways of teaching her like the numerical components of what I should be doing? Only spend 5 of the 20 or only save 5 of the 20. How does it all balance out?
Yeah. So usually what I recommend is people save 20% of their income. So that'd be a great place to start, is just 20% of her allowance is saved. And at first she's not gonna like it. She's probably gonna be really upset about it. But again, that's something in the long run she'll really value. And if you can have a conversation of compounding interest with her, there's calculators you can pull up online that just show, okay, well, if you do save 20% or $5 a month or whatever the number is, what is that going to do for you over a long period of time? And they still might not love the idea, but they may that may help them understand why. And then another thing too, which I know of a lot of people that do, is if they do, if the kiddos do get an allowance, the parents tax their allowance.
Talk to me about that.
If Yeah, at 15 or 20%. So and that's the real world. Because if you're working, yeah, you may get you may have earned $100, but you're still paying taxes on that money,
Yeah.
usually 15 to 20%. So another thing is you could tax her money, and the taxes could also go towards savings, if you wanted to do that. So that way she is saving and getting taxed. And then in high school, if she decides to get a job, she will be taxed and it won't be a new concept to her. And then still, if she could just save that 20%, that habit will take her really far in life.
So in the conversations that you're having with your clients, are there fears around money and are they segmented to different age groups? How are people now looking at their money? I'm really curious because I said it because, you know, I tell people I'm a half century plus some, right? I'm 54. So I got kind of what I need to have, but I'm having conversations with people that are saying the younger generation, and I'm talking like 18 to 25, are kind of lost in many different ways. Are you having any kind of conversations with that kind of age group to kind of give us an indication of how they're handling monies these days?
Yeah. Yeah.
What are
Well,
the,
what I find is, oh, did I cut you off?
no, go ahead, go ahead.
Okay. What I find is young people in general, and it's not even a generational thing, but like your generation when they were young, or just any young generation, really is hesitant to save.
Hmm.
They don't like the idea of it because they want to live for right now. And that makes sense. I mean, it's really hard to save money when in theory you're saving money and you're giving up brunch with friends or going to a concert or traveling, buying a plane ticket, wherever the case may be. And it's really hard for younger people, in my experience, to see the value in saving because they're giving up something right now. And that's often just hard to work through. But what I find also is when I'm talking to people who are older, like in their 50s or 60s, they're scrambling to get to retirement and they say, I wish I started saving younger. I don't even know where my money went when I was in my 20s. I don't know where it went.
Wow.
And so I think if just young people can just be more mindful of how they're spending their money and also just start saving, even if it's on a small basis, and putting their money in places that's going to get growth for them, like funds, retirement accounts, even CDs or high yield savings, their future self is going to thank them significantly. And even if, because the thing comes up, well, what if I don't live that long? Well, even then, one, you're probably going to feel good about yourself when you are saving in the moment. But also, if you don't live that long, then who is that savings you're going to have? Who is it going to benefit in your life? Usually we all have somebody to care about. So would you saving now, even if you don't make it till your 60s or 50s or whatever young people think are old, how would it help your family or your loved ones if you don't make it to that point? But also, in reality, you're saving for yourself, for your future self.
Well, then, in the few minutes that we have left,
Yeah.
give me some power. Give me something that I can use today, maybe this week, or even over the summer to kind of get me get comfortable talking about, because it's not really a conversation I've had with her. Now, that's not to say that we don't have, she actually has a savings account and she actually has a full term indexed fund account. So she's making money on two different levels, but I don't give her access to it. So
Yeah.
so it's all in my name, and like she's partner there. So because she's a minor, but I
Yeah.
want to start having those conversations with her. I really do. I
Yeah.
think they would be valuable. And she's talked about, wanting, a job. And I think I would like to start with, an allowance for stuff that she does around the house. Right now it's slave labor, but I want to be able to pay her. So how would I start having those conversations? What would
Yeah.
tell me to do something?
I mean, honestly, I think the most like if you can just do it in an organic way, that's going to make it simple. So if you and your partner are talking about money, or it just comes in your brain and you're working on something that involves money, just invite them into the conversation. And that way you're not having to recreate this whole new scenario. That's one way, is just kind of make it organic. Another way can just be to pull up your bank accounts or your investment accounts, like on the computer, like a statement, and walk them through a statement and ask if they have any questions. Um, Another thing could just be, give them a hypothetical scenario with savings, and like what would they want out of savings? Like what's something that they would want to save for um, if they could. And don't make it short term, make it something long term. And by
They
long,
would have to work for, I guess.
yeah,
Yeah.
over a long period of time. Because I think that's another thing is people say they save, but they're saving for a vacation 6 months from now, which is great. But a lot of savings almost needs to be for the sake of saving. But that's really hard to instill that mindset. But if you just start the habit of saving, you'll most likely continue it because it's something that's easy for you. So I just start with small tidbits of conversations that can come up as organically as you want them to come up, if that makes sense.
It does. Cool. I love it. And I have lots of time because summer is really too long.
Yeah,
Because we don't go back
yeah,
to yeah, because we don't go back to school until after what? After Labor Day in September. And so there's lots of
yeah,
time for me to practice and to help my daughter learn some wisdom about money.
yeah. I mean, honestly, you can even play Monopoly or something with money, you know?
That
Mhm.
I would have to go find it because it's somewhere in the house. I got to go find it, but it's probably a really good idea to kind of make it fun and interesting so they understand it. Noah,
Yeah.
thank you so much for this
Thank you,
conversation
Pete.
and for empowering not just me, but for all those who are listening and watching this conversation. How can they people get in touch with you? So where are you on the web? And with that, where can we find you?
Yeah. So my website is, if my name is spelt very uniquely, so it's Noea Moss, Moss. So if you just Google me, you'll find my website. But my website is noah.moss at .nm.com. You can also shoot me a text. My phone number is 972-824-5835. Email me. And then I can also post my calendar link if you want, just to schedule a one-on-one. I'm more than happy to do that.
I will have all of that in the description of the video.
Perfect.
Thank you so much. For those who are
Yeah.
watching, listening, we'll see you next time on Coach's Corner. Take care, everybody.